So welcome back, everybody, for the last session of the day. Let me introduce quickly Kia Haring. She's the head of global communications and sustainability at TietoEVRY. And she's leading the team to drive positioning, reputation, and development of the corporate culture. She has more than 20 years of experience in international marketing and communication. And she's really passionate about the role of digitalization and new technology in building sustainable societies. Kia, I leave it to you to get started.
Thank you. And hello and a very good late afternoon to everyone. And I'm truly happy it is not the Friday afternoon, because I doubt if I have you guys there online listening to my speech. But as said, so I'm heading communication and sustainability in a company that is just being merged. So TietoEVRY was established officially, legally established in December 2019, but we started the joint operations from 1st of January 2020. And my thinking is that I will share some of those experiences with you. As you mentioned, I have around 20 years in global international marketing and communications. I have been actually going through about 15 mergers. And I have been driving them from communication perspective in 10 different mergers. Of course, a huge part of those have been smaller ones, but the one that I'm focusing on today is a large one, and it's probably one of the largest in our Nordic region that we have currently ongoing. I'm going to talk about what is the role of communication, what we've done in practice, in real life, and also how culture and brand can be used for driving the engagement and in this way ensuring the success of the merger. Culture eats strategy for breakfast and lunch and dinner. I'm sure you guys have heard that phrase over and over again, and I truly believe in that. So let's see what we've done for this purpose. But briefly first about TietoEVRY. So what kind of company are we today? We are creating digital advantage for Nordic enterprises and societies. We are in the market leader in the digital services across the Nordics, Norway, Sweden, and Finland. And I have 24,000 colleagues globally, and we do have global operations. We are serving our customers in more than 90 countries worldwide, even though Nordics is our home base. Annual turnover approximately 3 billion euros, and we do invest quite amount annually to technology, to new services, and to new competencies. A little bit about the history. I mean, we are a company in the technology space. People are our asset. I mean, people and their competencies, that's what we live on. And as said, you see the sort of our merger history here. During the time I had the head of communication role in ex-Tieto. So there was 9 much smaller though, but still acquisitions in our history, whereby we always acquired new competencies or competencies for future to the company. And this meaning that we really had put people to the center also when we do these integrations. So communication is a great vehicle for leadership to lead actively. And it is a great way to ensure overall that we build a kind of environment that we can keep the competencies we have acquired. So this is now number 10 in my career of mergers that we are talking about, and I already referred to it briefly. So what we are talking about is 2 Nordic IT services companies joining their forces to be a bigger and stronger player on this market. You see the facts here. Tieto with around 15,000 employees, EVRY coming with around 9,000 employees. We have a bit sort of what we call complementary services, complementary market scopes, where we have been strong as TietoEVRY has been weaker. Where EVRY has been stronger, we have been weaker. So quite a good fit from that perspective. And combining our strengths, we truly have more than 50 years of experience in this marketplace with these customers, with the value base that we have. And that is absolutely something that we will build on going forward as well. But let's take a look at communication, starting from here. Mergers are huge projects from the communication perspective. I mean, before anything is announced, you need to prepare. You need to prepare how to well cater the needs for all different stakeholders when the announcement day comes. It is all done in great secrecy. Confidentiality is the key word here. I mean, you do your preparations, but you are not allowed to tell anyone. And particularly in the huge cases, we are a publicly listed company, so NDAs are required for all people involved in this. I'll show a bit more details how we did it and what it comprises in our case. Announcement day, it's a very, very tightly scheduled day where we need to ensure that we are catering for the needs of the various stakeholders, as said. But actually, it is only after announcement day that the story and the journey really begins. Of course, in big cases like ours, we had to go through a lot of approvals from the competition authorities, and we knew it's going to take some time. So we had some time to plan ahead. There was not a lot we could do, but planning. And of course, the sort of leading principle after this announcement was to keep up the engagement, the interest amongst our employees, cater for any practical needs along the milestones, and continue building the commitment and the trust towards a common future. This is our journey. We announced our plans to join forces during June 2019. In September, both companies were listed companies, so there were two extraordinary general meetings arranged for the owners, investors. We announced the new group leadership and the high-level structure in October. We took a bit we were leaning ahead in that, thinking that we didn't have all the approvals required in place by that time. But of course, everything was conditional, and we were sort of faithful that we would get the approvals. The approvals by competition authorities came early December, and thereby the TietoEVRY was legally established as one company. We already then had a plan that if we get the approval, let's say it was one of the last moments to get it early December, to be able to go live on January 1st, 2020. And that's how it went. That's what we did. And actually, all this year is called the year of integration for us. As you see and understand, there's a whole lot of activities ongoing. So what happened after January? So I will show you a bit more details later on, but naturally we then were allowed to move on with the proper integration. We set up the integration teams, streams, different working streams. We started to look into the structure, started to go through the appointment processes, identifying suitable persons for the leading roles from both companies, etc. And moved on with the nomination rounds. I think the leadership, group leadership was nominated there in October, so we had the second layer of nominations, January, February timeframe. And approximately 1 month, one and a half months later, the next layer, etc. And we said that we would be sort of operationally ready in the new structure in April, and that's what we did as well. We also activated the first wave of merger synergies, meaning, again, very careful consideration for our communication. We announced that we need to cut around 550 jobs globally. Of course, in the scale, it was a relatively small number, but it is big and not that nice news to be communicated to the internal audiences. Further on, we announced our first quarter as TietoEVRY in April. We held our annual general meeting for the first time in April. And since summertime, May-June timeframe, we started to work on the common processes, tools, digital platforms. Also, the work for the leadership and culture was initiated, but actually that was sort of in full speed only now after summer. So let's take a deeper look into one of these, or few of these key milestones as I regard them from the communication perspective. And as you see here, they are the milestones. In some of these, the investors as the stakeholders are in the sort of leading role, whereas in the other ones, some more attention has been put within the company. But of course, in all of these, we have always ensured that we cater for the key audiences, also our customers, our partners, and trying to use also the media and the visibility to the positive purpose as good as we can along the way. This is how our announcement day activities looked like. And as said, it's a very sort of tightly structured day, who needs to be where and when, and what is the right order of all the communication activities. And considering the amount of preparations in terms of aligning the messages between the two companies, required producing all of these material in 4 languages in some cases, and ensuring that we are truly catering the needs of the all key stakeholders, employees, customers, investors, media, and also partners, took quite some effort from the team. And as said, timing is very critical in these cases. As we are a publicly listed company, there's regulations concerning that, and any information to any audience before the public announcement needs to be done under strict NDAs. So you see the structure. We need to do some briefings earlier on, for instance, to union representatives in our key countries to get them on board. We also had reviews with some material the evening before. We informed some key internal audiences, and then the whole jabang began with the stock exchange release in the morning. And these 5 minutes delays or 5-minute sequences in the communication was exactly what we did, just to ensure that we truly try to serve as good as we can all the key stakeholders. And I can tell you that I slept approximately 2 hours the night before to get this done, and launched at 8 o'clock Central European time. Good. But what happened then after this announcement? So as said, we only got the official approval, meaning we were able to close the case and form the legal company TietoEVRY in December. So until that, we were only able to plan the planning of integration. And this is now in one phase how our integration streams would look like. And as I'm here to talk about the communication brand marketing perspective, so you see highlighted this working stream called Identity, Communications and Change Management. And that was what I was leading. And of course, initially, we had double manning on all of these key activity streams so that we would have then adequate representatives from the both companies so that we were fully aligned and in sync and jointly were building our road ahead. So let's look deeper into the identity communication and change management stream and what was the sort of purpose for it and goal with it. So you see here the substreams that we defined under this bigger working stream entity. Overall, if I start from the top, so we need to be on track on all of the communication, and we need to prepare all of the execution of the communication so that it was very, very much centrally driven across both companies, that it happened simultaneously, even in the early phase where we didn't have the joint channels to do it. So it was truly syncing tightly between two different organizations and using the channels available. We also needed to cater for customers in terms of what does it mean for them. We are a B2B company. We have big accounts. We have long agreements with our customers. So, of course, they were interested in a major event like this. What would that entail to them? We started to look into the positioning, identity, and brand. And we did some sort of early phase analysis. We collected the existing data and started to prepare for a proper positioning activity. But actually, later on, we decided to stop this and postpone it to a later stage. We worked with the executive engagement, meaning that during the springtime, when we were building our organization layer by layer, we were announcing new leadership teams and roles, people in roles and positions. So we organized a very structured onboarding for them so that we ensured that they get all the elements that we have built so far regarding the new company. We also looked into the digital platforms and our communication channels overall. Technology industry knows what an MVP is. That is the minimum viable product, and that was the thinking in many cases. So what is the minimum viable product we need to produce and have ready on our key milestones? Key milestones being closing, one of them, and go live, the next one. So we were always on all of these tracks. We had activities we needed to have ready for the closing, and continuing from that work, what we should deliver and have ready by go live date in January. Change management, absolutely crucial. Not so much here in the initial phase, but absolutely like in the situation where we are today, rolling out new processes, new tools, new digital platforms. So we invest a lot in change management. Also, culture and engagement was an important stream, actually shared HR people stream and this working stream. So we looked at it jointly. In the very early steps, what we did was a cultural audit so that we would have a good starting point. Where do we stand as two big organizations? What are the things that we have in common, or how far from each other are the corporate cultures, to be able to define that what do we actually need in order to unite these two companies. This is just a brief look similar to the announcement day, what happened on the closing day. And what I would like to highlight here is that what it meant, we were legally established as one company. We were a listed company, which means that we needed to cater for adequate information for the particularly investor community already. So what was different here from the launch day that we had, the one official position that became active was the CEO position. So now we had a new CEO for covering both earlier companies, and of course we needed to activate his role and make him available and visible and familiar to people across the two companies. Another important thing was that we needed to be very clear on what are the responsibilities of the new and the old leadership teams. I mean, this was late 2019, so of course the former leadership teams needed to cater for what was rest of the operations for that year and ensure we are closing everything in a good way, and before we then were able to start building a new organization. And the new leadership team members, they were running then and being active in these integration streams, building their organizations forward and looking into the future of the company and focusing on those things. And as said, we needed to have the external website to cater for the official company information already on this closing day, 5th of December. And when moving then or looking ahead from this closing to go live, I mean, it was basically 4 weeks in between for us, Christmas holidays, New Year celebrations and all of that. So we needed to move pretty quickly to get them some more feeling to what does it actually mean and how are we ensuring that we stand out as one united company after the 1st of January. So this is how our plan looked like. We looked into the internal and external channels. Instead of only having the investor site ready on our website, we ensured that we take in use the social media channels for the new company. And of course, we had some extended areas ready in our website as well. We didn't actually have this common internal platform. Even though we planned to have it there early on, we only got a common communication platform in use early March. So until that, we used emails, we used the existing communication channels for both former companies. But for the early January, we prepared some easy brand carriers. We had created what we call interim brand for TietoEVRY. We ensured that we look like TietoEVRY. We have some simple digital tools available, screensavers, banners, newsletters, so that people could really feel that when they come after Christmas break back to office, it looks a bit like a new era has begun. We had flags, we had roll-ups, etc. We even ordered some surprise things and naturally the normal office templates. So simple, quick, but quite material that you would need in everyday activities. We also prepared a first company presentation. We delivered information packages to all employees and particularly to our leaders. We catered for customers, suppliers, partners. We were planning to launch something that we called Go Live Celebrations, and by which we would then introduce the new leadership team to our organization. And we also introduced the new standard practices. How do we cater for the information needs our people have in the new company? We would have something regularly on the corporate level, and then also our countries would add on to that. So very much still driving a heavily centralized communication approach, ensuring that we give out the similar type of information across our stakeholders. For January, we also prepared some press activities and managed to introduce a few of our leaders to media. And of course, in this Nordic market, it was quite an exciting thing to have the two technology companies joining their forces. So we tried to make best use of that as well. Here are some pictures. I mean, our interim brand was built on this brighter future together, and we had a brighter future events across approximately plan was to reach to the 15 biggest locations in our main countries. And we managed to do quite a few of them until we got COVID-19. So that's where these physical engagements stopped and everything was moved to digital world. Of course, I mean, we are a technology company, but still, I would say that it was quite interesting in a merger situation where we were. I mean, people are by nature using the tools. We have the remote work possibilities, but how do you integrate teams that have been working for competitors and have offices in one city, but you can't mix them, you can't have them to meet in one big event according to our initial plans. But let's see what we did. So I showed you this picture earlier, but if I would just repeat a few things from it. So the first half of this year, we have very heavily focused on building up the organization and our operating model and what goes with that. And it's very much sort of building the basic frameworks, doing what you need to do in order to get the business operations run smoothly. And partly due to the COVID and the situation, the biggest challenge we actually faced and started to feel when people came back from the summer breaks was that we are lacking the heart of the company. We need to be a bit more softer. We need to start focusing on leadership and culture and bringing these elements that are creating the engagement amongst our people to this new organization. So we used in communication overall, I mean, what you see on the top line there are the change management steps, if you wish. So that has been as a guiding principle for us when planning big communication activities like a merger. So before you can take people further, they truly need to understand and be fine with the thinking. And of course, particular or specific change management activities are applied in many places. I refer to the processes, taking on board, taking in use new tools and digital platforms. So absolutely a must to focus on that. But also in communication, I mean, we use many methods to engage people. Very much centrally driven and top-down broadcasting, you need that for some purposes, but it cannot be only relying on such activities. We have a Workplace as our engagement platform. Now it's covering the full organization. We took that in use in March, and it's been a good tool for employee activation and engagement. We focus on equipping our leaders to be better communicators. We have once a month what we call leadership calls, where we bring the stuff to our leaders so that they would have good tools to deal and take on board their own teams to the different key activities. We also have created self-learning. I mean, in all of these, our top-down broadcasting, I take an example. We run global webcasts once in a month. And at the most, we've been able to engage almost half of our organization in one go. And these are always recorded. We publish them afterwards. We offer the self-learning opportunities to people through that. And then regarding the operating model and some more complicated things, we have built self-learning modules and e-learnings for them. We will always have support feedback channels available. We used to run weekly clinics where people could come and join and ask questions regarding different topics ongoing. That support was offered to our integration leads, people that were running the integration in our businesses or in our key functions. We also have regular pulse surveys to cater for the feedback from the big audience. How are our teams feeling? what's sort of bothering them, etc. So multiple level of activities ongoing. But taking you further a bit on this second half activities and the softer values. So what have we done there? We have worked on the culture code. I mentioned the culture audit that we did already early on during this process, but we have invited our people to join this activity through an online questionnaire. We have had country-level hackathons, and this, what you see here, is a result of all of these activities gone through our group leadership discussion. So these are the sort of cultural pillars or directions where we want to build our corporate culture. And we are at the stage today when we introduce, I mean, people have been part of this process. So the statements, the values you see here are familiar to them. But what does it really mean in the everyday life? We are in the process where we invite people to join the discussion, where we try to boost or nudge people to see the values becoming live in our everyday life. And we do it by connecting many concrete activities that we do to these values. We do it by inviting our own colleagues to talk about things that are connected to our culture code elements. So I give you a couple of examples briefly. We have defined a diversity inclusion charter, meaning what are our take on gender balance? How are we going to work with diversity as a larger term or larger entity? So these type of projects, they are driving the value base. I mean, those are the things where people want to connect and want to feel, or they have the passion. Some people don't, but I mean, these are easy element to create the discussion. Another topic is sustainability plan. We are creating a new 3-year sustainability strategy for the new company. The diversity targets are one key element or key KPI also in our sustainability plan, but we are also looking into what are the activities we're going to do for the climate going forward, etc. So we have selected certain concrete projects where we both launch the initiative to the organization, but we also engage the ambassadors, the most sort of enthusiastic people around these topics to share their stories. And that's the way we believe that we create the heart of the company, if you wish to put it that way. And if we look from the sort of brand perspective or the communication platform perspective, so we do have our interim brand where our purpose is to create digital advantage for businesses and societies. We have this ambition that works both internally for the integration, but also externally. We talk about the brighter future together. So on top of that, or if you wish, another side of it is that we start to communicate this culture through beacon initiative. Beacon of light is something that a metaphor easily connected with the values-based elements, culture, values of the company. So that is a context where we now use these concrete elements like the sustainability game plan to create engagement across the company and to make the culture come alive or boost a bit to sort of guide it to a certain direction. It takes 7 years to build a culture, so we know that it's not done by our projects, but we try to nudge people to be sort of ambitious about it, people to participate, to engage and feel for it. That's our goal. On the bottom line, you also see some brand acts, I call them. You can put them on the corporate social responsibility space if you wish. But let me take one example that turned out to be successful. It was maybe not planned this way, but we are happy that we got this. I'm going to share a story of the polite type with you. So polite type is something that we launched late August, early September. It's our corporate social responsibility initiative. We want to promote the responsible use of technology, and in this case, it is amongst the young people. So we took an initiative against online bullying and discrimination, and for that purpose, we innovated a concrete vehicle, a font that is replacing the hurtful words or expressions to more inclusive or neutral ones. We launched this in Finland together with the NGO working with the young people. It got really viral. We got a lot of visibility for this, and actually today we have launched the same initiative also in Sweden. So it is about us being relevant in a societal context. It is about innovation, technology-based innovation, and that is a way to create engagement, both in our internal as well as in our external audiences. So through this campaign, we have actually reached more than 900 million viewers. Our font tests is around 30,000 at the moment, and it has truly created also internal pride. We've heard comments that this is the best thing we have done as a company. It's the best thing I have seen ever. We have created hundreds of comments, discussions in our internal channels, and of course in our external channels as well. But with this example, I wanted to show you how something that you launch externally actually is bringing value internally equally much. And we should focus on things like this. We should acknowledge the strength in the softer values, how our culture and brand are driving the engagement across our stakeholders, creating the pride. On top of my first part of the story is that communication or merger is a huge project from communication perspective, and communication is a critical element for the success of the merger. It is people we are talking about. Let's remember that. Thank you.
Thank you, Kia. That was a really good presentation. Let me see if there's... Ooh, I have a bit of echo. So I have a first question from you, from Stephen. Within your experiences of M&A communication, what was your biggest challenge, and what with comes during COVID?
The biggest challenge is always, as I said, we are in people business. So the biggest challenge for me that I always think when planning the communication, so how can we create the trust and engagement across our people, across our assets? And that is driving the thinking. And I must say that I'm truly happy that that challenge is sort of recognized within our top leadership as well. So we really get their attention and get all of their support to that. And particularly in COVID times, as said, we are a technology company where working from home was okay even earlier, not for everybody naturally, but still it was not like something that you would need to organize separately. So moving to remote work mode was smooth, but now how do you run the engagement across, and how do you build the common future, the common culture amongst two different companies that are put together without people seeing one another? So we have focused a whole lot of effort on supporting our leaders. I mean, our leaders need to be the role models. They need to take care of their own teams. They need to be innovative in finding methods to engage people. I can tell from what I did with I have 30 persons in the sustainability and communication team. So we had a step challenge. We used a mobile app to count our steps, and it was a common platform by a company in Sweden, where we invited our team members, and we used this challenge for 1 month. And the motivation for is that it's fun, it's a thing that can connect us, and it's supporting everybody's well-being. So you are not only sitting in front of your laptop long days, but you need to go out and walk and count the steps. And it was a bit of a competition there, but absolutely voluntary for everyone. So we did that in May before the summer break, and now we actually challenged our colleagues from the marketing team to join us. So we did it again. So these type of examples, we have also encouraged our leaders to share so that we could get the peer-to-peer support and exchange of ideas, how to do this, how to engage your teams ongoing amongst the peer group as well. So that has been the challenge, yes.
Well, we've done something similar. It's actually quite fun. A question. So first, a compliment from Pete, a very impressive and comprehensive approach. So he's got 2 questions. The first one is, what further advice would you give for selling the benefits of this approach? And then the second question is, would you adapt this approach for a smaller merger where the return on investment may not be the same?
Absolutely. I mean, my advice would be that ensure that you take your communication professionals on board early on. As said, I have had a history of 9 smaller mergers within the role that I have before this final big one. So this becomes as a practice. But yes, from communication perspective, we've done exactly the same job, even in a smaller scale for those smaller mergers. And yes, so communication needs to be there in due time. And yes, of course, some of the magnitude is not that big if you talk about the smaller merger, but the methods are exactly the same.
Great, thank you, Kia. A big thanks from Karina around the presentation and for the excellent insights. A question from her, can you please also share your experience in aligning the sustainability ambition and practices between the merging companies? And did they converge, or did you build them together only after the merge?
We were absolutely good question, and a very topical one, because that is actually on my table as we speak. So we have created the new 3-year plan for the merged company, but we had a bit or quite different approaches to it. Both companies were considering these things as important, but on the former Tieto side, we have had this practice of having a 3-year plan, which we on annual basis report the development on the key KPIs in connection with the integrated annual report. That was not the practice on former EVRY side, but they have done good stuff. I mean, actually, they were better ranked in the CDP ranking compared to former Tieto. So now what we've done is that we adapted the Tieto approach, yes, covering the full organization, because it was very sort of positively perceived by former EVRY side. So that is our new practice. I'm having a sustainability steering group, which consists of many members of our top group leadership team, and then some people who are managing the biggest impact areas, like if you look from the climate perspective, our offices, our business travel, our data centers are the biggest CO2 emission producers, so people who in real operations are managing these areas, are part of my steering group. And together we have defined the goals for the 3 years ahead on the key KPIs, which of course we run a thorough stakeholder consultation, stakeholder analysis, listening to the key stakeholders. So what are the most sort of material aspects in our type of business that they are looking into? So it was very much a outside in, inside out approach, and that gave us good results. So we are packaging that document or that sort of commitment and starting to communicate it pretty soon.
Okay, so we have we're actually over time, but there's a final question. I prefer you to responding this question than me doing a conclusion. If that's okay for you to take one more question. Okay, there's one final compliment first from Thomas, saying a beautiful presentation that you have there. Would you say the resulting new culture is ultimately closest to one of the initial two firms? Or is a complete new one being formed?
I would say that I talked to you about this audit that we did December, January timeframe. So already in that audit, I mean, what was the basis? What was the culture like in the two companies? It was surprising how close to one another we were. So I cannot say, I mean, it is jointly developed, but considering that our baseline or the starting point was pretty close already. So from that perspective, I think that it's good to go ahead and build the joint company. But generally terms, what we have discussed is that we are not by default implementing the best from ex-Tieto or ex-Every. We are looking into the market and thinking that what is it that will make us successful in the future. And it might be something totally new that we need to adopt for the both or for the joint company. So that is has been our approach along the way.
Great, thank you so much, Kia. Thank you for the great presentation, and you're getting a lot of thanks through the emojis and the reactions.
Thank you.
Robert, I think, you know, I'm just not going to spend too much time doing a conclusion. I just wanted to say thanks to everybody for, you know, being so participative. It's a long day, so thanks for staying until the end and asking questions. That's what makes these kind of events interesting and more interactive. Tomorrow, another person will be presenting and will be chairing. So because I need to go on client meetings, unfortunately. So a big thank you from myself as well for your presentation.
Yes, thank you very much. Good to work with you again for sharing today. And thank you, Kia. I think you get the award for the most emoticons, not just at the end, but during the session. During a lot of your points, you were getting tons of thumbs up. So this is the best kind of feedback one can get, I think.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yes, we reconvene tomorrow. The lounge is open from 9, but the first session's at 9:30 sharp. So please be here no later than 9:30 sharp for the beginning of day 2. So thank you again, everyone. Great interactivity. It feels really like we're in one physical place, even though we're all scattered all around the world. So thank you, everyone, for helping to create that community and that atmosphere, because there's a value for that. So everyone, I wish you have a good night. The lounge is still open in case you want to chat with each other. And thanks again, and we'll see you in the morning.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye. Have a good evening.